Hey, Mr. Rose, how you doing? So basically for the online field trip or whatever, I picked the D-Day one, and then I just got my notes over here, and I'm gonna just read off of those if that's fine. So yeah, let's jump into this. This was a key war during World War II, D-Day, the invasion of Normandy. It happened on June 6, 1944, when the Allied forces of Britain, America, Canada, and France attacked the German forces on the coast of Normandy, France. With a huge force of over 150,000 soldiers, the Allies attacked and gained a victory that became the turning point in World War II, in Europe. This famous battle is sometimes called D-Day or the invasion of Normandy, so it's either or. Um, so let's talk about what led up to this battle. We know that it took years, well, maybe not years, but months of preparation and planning and intelligence and stuff like that. So, well, let's get the background of it or whatever. So, Germany had invaded France and was trying to take over all of Europe, including Britain. However, Britain and the United States had managed to slow down the expanding German forces. They were now able to turn on an offensive. Um, so basically, a lot of people had to train for this. They practiced on bombing railroads, bridges, airfields, all kind of stuff. A lot of people went through months of training for special ops for something like this. There was a lot of deception involved. The Germans knew that an invasion was coming, but they didn't know who was going to attack, and it was very stormy during those months, I think, and the weather was bad. But they knew that they could tell by all the forces that were gathering in Britain and by additional airstrikes that something was coming. What they didn't know was where the Allies would strike. In order to confuse the Germans, the Allies tried to make it look like they were going to attack north of Normandy at Pas de Calais. We also know that the weather in Normandy during this time, even though it'd been planned for months or whatever, it almost got canceled due to bad weather. General Eisenhower finally agreed to attack despite the overcast skies. Although the weather did not have some effect on and on the Allies' ability to attack, it also caused Germans to think that no attack was coming, and they were less prepared as a result. The invasion, the first wave attack happened at early, like dark, it was still dark out or whatever, and it was by paratroopers. These were the men that jumped out of the planes, that jumped and landed behind enemy lines. Their job was to reach key targets, capture bridges, in order for the main invasion of the force to land on the beach. Thousands of dummies were also dropped in order to draw fire and confuse the enemy. So they dropped people over here when they were really on this side. The next stage in the battle, planes bombed German defenses. Soon warships began to bomb the beaches from the water. While the bombing was going on, underground members of the French resistance sabotaged the Germans by cutting telephone lines and destroying railroads. So this helped a lot because number one, Germans didn't have no communication. They had no bridges, so they couldn't, if they were on this side of the bridge, they had nowhere to fall back. And there was a lot of confusion going on. Soon after, the main invasion force of over 6,000 ships carrying troops, weapons, tanks, and equipment approached the beaches of Normandy. Two of the key beaches was the Omaha and Utah beaches. American troops landed at Omaha and Utah beaches. The Utah landing was successful, but the fight at Omaha was fierce. A lot of people lost their lives, but they were also able to take the beach in the end. After the battle, by the end of D-Day, over 150,000 troops had landed in Normandy. They pushed their way inland, allowing for more troops to land over the next several days. By June 17th, over 500,000 Allied troops had arrived, and they had begun to push the Germans out of France. And then lastly, some of the generals that were involved where the supreme commander of the Allied forces was Dwight D. Eisenhower of the United States. Other Allied generals include Omar Bradley from the United States, as well as Benner Montgomery and Trafford Lane Mallory from Britain. Some interesting facts about D-Day. Although June 6th is often called D-Day, it is also a generic military term that stands for day, so D of any major attack. They also plan this to be a full moon because, like I said earlier, when the people jumped out of the planes, the paratroopers, they needed to be able to see. So you could see that a lot of strategy came into this and everything. So yeah, that's basically that's what I learned from my online field trip, and I did the D-Day one. So yeah.